I see the red light on. Everybody looking good? Sounding good?
It's much better now.
Much better. Thank you, Lauren. Ladies and gentlemen, Lauren Wiley, our rec intern for communications. Recent graduate of Lemoyne College. Watch out, world. She's coming for you. All right, with our audio, video set up and with pizza here and chicken wings arrived, we are going to go ahead and get started. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Justin Atlas. I am Deputy Commissioner at the Department of Recreation. We are here this evening for our public open house meeting number 2. We held our first one back on June 24th of this year. I am joined with me to my right, Dan Biggs and his colleague, Mark. Mark, I forget your last name. What is it? Mark Mariano. Any relation to? Never mind. Okay. So we're going to go through, we're going to discuss primarily survey results as we did an open or a community outreach throughout the summer. And Dan's going to talk to you about the survey results. We're going to go through some operational highlights from the summer. And then we're going to have some questions, open up the floor for questions. We ask that everybody remain, keep the questions to the end. We're going to get to every question. I'll stay here all night. I'm okay with that. My interns may not, but I'll make sure we stay all night. We want to make sure we answer all the questions that we have here. We want to make sure we do it in a respectful manner as well. Let's remember we're all here for the same reason, to be able to move forward with or move towards an idea of how we want to move forward. Okay, again, that is essentially where we're at, is looking at how we move forward as a community with regards to the beautiful wonder behind the audience here, Lincoln Park Pool. All right, so without further ado, here is Dan Biggs of Weston and Sampson.
Thanks, Justin. Can everyone hear me all right? Great. Well, glad to get started again. Good to see everyone in person finally. It's been a long virtual year, but happy to see you all. Tonight's agenda, as Justin talked about, first I'm going to start with a little bit of operations, how the season's going so far. It's been an interesting year, and we have a couple more weeks that we have to close out strong. We're going to run through the summary of the public meeting number 1, just that we had a couple weeks ago. The latest survey results, so all the data to date we'll cover. Then we're going to get into some technical discussions. Mark's going to assist with me on this conversation about what the pool is, really from down to the decimal points of some of the data you'll see here in a minute. We're going to actually compare it to a couple facilities to show you the size, the scale, the shape, some other characteristics just for conversation purposes. And then we'll talk through the next steps for this project. Before we get going, I really want to ask one question is, who's been to the pool this summer? Awesome, nice. So we got, keep your hands up, I can't count that fast. We got about, say what, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 respondents here in the room, which is awesome. How many of you have swam the pool? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, almost the same, good, all right. I did not swim the pool, but I've been here many times, just for the record. So we'll get to go. Same goals, objectives as the last presentation you'll see. Really, we're looking at the planning design of a new state-of-the-art aquatic facility to replace the failing Lincoln Park Pool, as you all are aware. Some objectives for this are to facilitate public engagement process, which you'll see here tonight is one of the steps of our engagement process. We're identify desired features, characteristics as we move forward. We're going to develop a preferred layout of pool and supporting amenities based upon our feedback we're receiving tonight and for the future meetings. And then really come up with a design that is state-of-the-art, that has a filtration system, that chlorination system that meets the current New York State Code, Department of Health requirements. Really just making sure that it's going to last for another 50, 60 years. But we'll get some details about what's happening right now. So really quickly, a little bit about how the pool is operating, and I'll probably hand the mic to Justin here in a minute. But as you know, if you look outside, for those that are on the screen, the pool is not full right now. The pool is lower than full capacity. We'll go through that. There are some geysers out there. I see some water flowing places maybe you shouldn't. So that's all a result of just simply the age. And if you walk around, you're going to look outside to see some new facilities that were not planned for this year. The chlorination tank had a leak. We had a line leak. So these all add to dollars that Justin will cover here in a minute. But really quickly, Justin, I want to give a quick overview on how the season's going so far. Yeah.
All right, thank you. We are currently in the final weeks of the pool season. As we entered into the season, we were put forth with a new challenge that we haven't had in the years past, to at least this severity. The lifeguarding shortage that is going on across the nation. We anticipated this happening in New York State in general with lifeguards because New York State does not make it easy for lifeguards to maintain certifications, as annual updates need to occur. It is costly, it is time consuming, as well as the availability of instructors. With our measures that we put in place, we were able to run technically 5 lifeguard certification courses to certify 40 lifeguards this summer. So we typically will operate with 80 lifeguards on staff to be able to outfit our 3 pools. This summer, we were only able to get a total of 52. So approximately 52. But we were able to certify ourselves 40 lifeguards during the month of June. So with that, the majority of them are being college students. A lot of them are starting to go back to school. We are losing lifeguards like many other municipalities, many other pools in the area, which is going to be having an effect. We announced yesterday that we are closing Monte Cristi Pool this weekend to ensure that we can keep Lincoln Park Pool 50% open. So if you look, the pool is lower, but all throughout the summer, we have only opened it at a maximum of about 60%. Almost every day, the majority of days have been at 50%. If you've come to the pool and swam in the pool, you've noticed that the buoy line's going across because we do not have enough lifeguards to this summer to outfit the pool fully. It is a tactic or a strategy that our lifeguards are used to, as whenever we're short-staffed, they have to cut off parts of the pool in general to ensure that coverage and safety is being monitored. Opening day, when we hit June 26th, the night before, we noticed a leak in the bulkhead doors where one of the main valves is for the water intake. A big valve that brings a lot of water to be able to recirculate into the pool. There was a cascading waterfall occurring, which indicates a significant leak. It was causing issues with the intake and the pump system. June 26th, we did not open, which was supposed to be our opening day. Instead, we were here doing emergency repairs. If you look out on the pool, right at the base, as you enter from the pool house, there are 2 concrete patches that look very new. We had to dig and find where those leaks were. Luckily, the Keller Construction Group, the same group that is doing the project up here, as well as over in the bowl, they were but we did pay them a hefty fee to be able to do the work, but they did it very well and they did it efficiently so that we were only down for the 1 day. They found the leak. It was a broken pipe on one of the return valves. They were able to repair it. We were here till about 11:30 evening. It was a beautiful strawberry moon that night. That was probably the bright spot, as well as the fact that we were able to open up the next day. In addition to that, we found that the chlorine tank had a significant leak in it, one that was not able to be repaired with a simple patch. If you look over by if you saw it on your way in, or if you want to look on your way out, we are currently using chlorine totes or chemical totes, which were provided by Surpass Chemical to pump out the chlorine in our chlorine tank. So we have a 3,200 gallon chlorine tank in that building over there that had a leak in it. It was dripping into the ground and we had to remove it so it wasn't creating a chemical hazard. We put it into the totes. We contacted the Department of Health. We went through the process of making sure that we had the ability to operate through the remainder of the summer, as it was understood that it was a temporary solution until we could get that chlorine tank, which a 3,200 gallon chlorine tank is not an easy fix. It does not just come on the Walmart shelves to be restocked. So we're going to be going forward with replacing that in the fall. But we are currently operating in that fashion right now with the totes. Additionally, the line that returns, we noticed we were able to determine that the pressure was too great, over 120 PSI. That we're believing it's caused by a calcification of chlorine, dry chlorine that is left in the lines. Therefore, we had to put in a temporary line and drill through the building to get that temporary line all the way across from that chlorine building all the way underneath the building, and then to the return valve, which is about go down into the basement right about over there, and it shoots it back into the pool. So it connects right where the clean water, after it goes through the filters, it sanitizes the water before it heads back in the pool, make sure we have sanitary water. In addition to that, the pool leaks 500,000 gallons, 400,000, 500,000 gallons a day. We've been pumping that same amount back into the pool every day to ensure that the pool stays at the level it's currently at. So with that, we were able to have sanitary water. Lifeguard status, again, we talked about that. Again, lifeguards are going back to school, but we're closing out Monte Cristi. We haven't even operated Arbor Hill Community Center pool all summer due to a mechanical error or issue. But if that were the case, we probably would have been a little bit more short-staffed here as well. Collaboration. So with Albany High School, we are focused on being able to feed our lifeguards in the future. This pool as is, or any pool in the future, no matter what, we will still always need to have lifeguards if we're operating any aquatic facility. We've taken proactive steps. I myself am a certified lifeguard instructor. We're looking at bringing aboard another individual to hopefully be another instructor. We can only, by requirement, certify 10 lifeguards at a time per instructor. So if we get another instructor, we'll get 20 per course. We're working with Albany High School to make sure that we are certifying Albany High School kids, so that we can also offer them a job right after to work for us or work for Albany High School or work anywhere in Albany immediately, but also possibly work anywhere in the world that requires a lifeguard and also have a life-saving skill that can last them a lifetime. So we're working closely with the athletic director, Ashley Chappell. She's been a great partner in being able to help promote aquatic safety within the city of Albany. And we look forward to continuing that work in the fall, winter, and spring, and going into next summer as well. Swim lessons, we operated 5 weeks of swim lessons. We were only able to operate swim capacity, participant capacity of 20. We were able to reach full capacity for the first 2 weeks, and then it tailed off a little bit because we had required participants to enter into the first week. Because we do not have swim instructors currently on staff, we need to be able to invest in swim instructors. There are current certifications that our staff do not have that we need to be able to obtain. But our swim lessons, because we started individuals at the beginning level, brought them all the way through. We had about 8 participants go from the start to the finish all 5 weeks. And those individuals who couldn't really swim at the beginning, I can honestly say, all of them can tread water, float on their back, and they can do the minimum to be able to stay safe in the water. 21. So the pool attendance this season, during the months of June and July, we had 1 week in June and 4.5 weeks in July. We had 1,422. July was a very rainy month, very cold month, very unusual month. Typically our biggest and most patronage is July 4th weekend. July 4th weekend was a pretty busy weekend, but the rest of July was a very cold and very slow month. August, we had 1,195 attendance. So if you came to the pool this summer, we are using our Civic Rec system. Everybody who comes in, we check them in. We make sure we're tracking individuals. This summer, just like last summer, we were focused on Albany, City of Albany residents only. We do hopefully, when the pandemic subsides or goes away, or if we beat this thing, we hope to reopen it to the greater community of the Capital Region in general, as we've had many individuals from other cities, municipalities come join, use our facility. But at this point, we're okay with making it only Albany, City of Albany residents. So operationally, I think that's about it. And I'm going to hand it back to Dan.
Thanks, Justin. Just for also everyone knows, we hit capacity here at the pool around 4th of July, which was about 150 participants at one time. So since then, it's been pretty good numbers. Really quickly, summary of the public meeting for those that were not in attendance on the 24th of June. We had about 45 residents. It was a virtual meeting for those that joined us, Presentation included a bit of the overview, a little bit of history of the pool, existing conditions overview of the pool facility in general, We talked about the public engagement strategy, which we'll recover here again tonight, and then talked about the PAC, the Project Advisory Committee, which I'll reset again tonight. And then we introduced the potential pool facility improvements and then needs to be considered for the redesign or reconstruction of the pool, whichever it may turn out to be. That's the questions and answers. So since the public meeting, we've been behind the scenes doing a lot of work. A couple things that we're going to present tonight or what we have been producing. We had a technical review summary of the existing pool, which we shared. I believe it was on the website as well. We provide answers to some common questions, the questions that came up during the public meeting or afterwards. So that's on the albanyny.gov/recreation website for those interested in checking out. There was a suggestion during our first public meeting to reach out to a pool contractor that was familiar or had interest or the capability potentially to reconstruct this pool as is, Cornice Pool Builders. Justin and I had a call with them. We talked it through the process with them. Unfortunately, this is not within the realm, but we politely entertained the conversation and saw what they had to say. So they actually deferred to saying, this is really cool, it's beyond the capabilities, but we had that conversation. We facilitate an online survey, which hopefully everyone has taken so far. It's still active and ongoing. And then we had public engagement here at the pool for all those in attendance. If you need that link, feel free to type in chat or pick up on the way out. We can give you the link for that survey. The online survey was up and running around the time of the public meeting, but around July 30th, we had a conversation with the mayor's staff and some other residents to tweak the survey. So I'm going to cover that tweak here tonight to describe what changed on July 30th, and I'll show that in the data here from our online survey results. And finally, we did a comparison of Lincoln Park Pool to other pools completed within the same time frame of similar large size, and we'll review this here in a later slide deck. And finally, we had a second PAC meeting, Project Advisory Committee meeting on August 11th here at the pool. So we received feedback, and that's incorporated into this presentation tonight. As many of you know, we're in the middle of the public engagement strategy process. We're about halfway through. We're down here on weeks 8 and 15th of August, but we have more to go. So stay tuned and you'll see the process as we unveil. And I'll cover this at the end about next steps as we move forward in this process. So first we had some questions about what is a PAC and who's on the PAC. The PAC is the Project Advisory Committee. It's an advisory group that was composed of residents, community members that have interest in the pool, obviously, to provide guidance and to advise the project team throughout the planning process. I'm not going to read every name here, but the sampling of members from a block at a time, a village, common council members, Business for Good Foundation.
We can also thank the PAC for the pizza that we have this evening.
Yeah, sorry for those online virtual. We will not be sending you pizzas tonight, but if you were in attendance, there is pizza available for anyone that's interested. We also have members from neighborhood associations and then also a member of the lifeguarding staff here in attendance for this committee members. So it's been valuable to have their input, and they will be with us throughout this process. Actually, anyone in the room, I see Danielle's here from a block at a time, Mansion neighborhood. Any other PAC members? I don't know by name, I apologize. Dom. With Park, okay, so Dom's here. Sorry, Dom, if you're on the list. Great, I don't know, but apologize if you're not. Oh, sorry, Tom McPeters, right here. So Tom, thank you for joining us. So really quickly about some of the public engagement, the online survey that we received to date. So since June 22nd, we've had 966 responses. Since July 30th, we've had 427 of those. So what you'll see here is that the first couple of questions, if you took the survey, were similar, were the same throughout the entire public engagement online survey. At question 7, I'll be sure to mention this, we added one additional question. So of all the data received to date, we asked respondents to provide the zip code. You can see the largest represents those with the most hits. So 12202, 12208, 12209, 12210 were the four highest or the greatest number of respondents from zip codes. And then the second question was to identify which neighborhood or street which you live on. So basically, if you say Street, Avenue, Park, it's in here. You see common names of New Scotland, Mansion, Hudson Park, Morton Ave, Mansion Neighborhood, Center Square. So common names that we're hearing of people that are living in the general vicinity of Lincoln Park, which is great. The third question that we have here was please select from the options below what the primary use of Lincoln Park Pool is for you and or your family. Unsurprisingly, 83% are saying recreation public swimming, which is fantastic. You can see here highlighted in red. Question 4, very similar. Please check below all the ways you and or your family have used the Lincoln Park Pool in the past. Again, 88% say recreation public swimming. Not really too much of a surprise, but most are coming here to have a good time and to recreate. Question 5, when was the last time you and or a family member used Lincoln Park Pool? You can see here the largest number being in 2021, we had about 32% of responses. All the way down to the next highest was pre-COVID in 2018 at 23%, and just behind that is 2019. As expected, 2020 was a very low number due to limited availability and interest in the pool at about 8.8%. So as of July 30th, we added the question, which is, would you like the new Lincoln Park Pool to be identical to the pool that is currently there? Or would you like a new Lincoln Park Pool with different components and amenities? Since July 30th, we've had 427 responses that answer this question. 53.4% have said, I want a new pool with different components, amenities from what the current pool has, with 46% saying, I want a new pool that is exactly the same as the current pool. So it's pretty close at the data as of this morning. It's about 53 to 46% swing. So with that data, if you had selected, I want a new pool, or that question, the top 4 responses that we're hearing are saying lazy river, zero entry ADA pool, competition lap pool, and then active play pool, in-pool spray features. You see the top 4 that are highlighted. So people are saying that when they pick 2, those are the common activities that they're looking to do or features within the pool of interest. Question 8, of the options below, please select the top 2 aquatic programs and amenities that you think should be prioritized at Lincoln Park Pool. The top 4, the top one was actually specialty classes swimming lessons at 60%. High demand for that, which is fantastic. Just behind that is specialty classes of aerobics, scuba, lifeguard training, etc. I'm sorry, I'm reading at an angle. Actually, second is water slides at 47.5%, then specialty classes, then water obstacle course. And the others have other values just below that. So high interest in swimming lessons, which is fantastic for the city. Question 9, of the options below, please select the top 2 site amenities that you think should be prioritized at Lincoln Park Pool. Here we have 5 that are pretty close at 51%. No surprise, the shade pavilions with their limited shade here in the pool area. Behind that is a playground and formal concession area, then sand volleyball courts and landscape open space really close behind that. So high interest in the shade pavilions in terms of amenities and other top priorities. So with that survey, obviously it's still ongoing. We're still getting data in. So if you haven't done the survey, we really suggest you take that survey so we can have more numbers and show what interest is within the community. But parallel to that, as we're doing, look at the pool, we're looking at the challenges. We want to share with you kind of the technical components of the pool facility and why it is in the condition that is right now. So the first thing is the pool, in order to be reconstructed of any shape and size, must meet New York State Department of Health Commercial Swimming Pool Code. This includes all operational requirements currently grandfathered in. So as Justin mentioned, or we'll talk about, there are certain components of the pool facility that have been grandfathered due to its age, due to Department of Health giving us a waiver. SHPO is obviously aware of the current condition. So we've had grandfather conditions embraced within the pool itself. Sorry, SHPO is the State Historic Preservation Office. Thank you for pointing it out. The second point to reach out is that currently the pool is in a condition that can't be repaired due to the substance and overall complete construction needed for the pool itself. So anything that happens has to be reconstruction for whatever shape and size it may turn out to be. We have shared this presentation with the Department of Health. They reviewed this, and so what you're seeing basically has been digested and confirmed that is the proper approach from the Department of Health review and concurrence on our assessment. So now to get to details. The first piece here, and Mark and I are going to tag team on this, but we want to cover some of the code components. So any of the numbers that you see here of a 6.1, 6-1.11, that's from the health code, or 6.16-1.29. So these are different sections that we're pointing out in terms of the current facility and how it relates back to the Department of Health code. So currently, the pool facility is grandfathered at an 8-hour turnover rate, which means every 8 hours, the entire water body of water has to recirculate to meet the Department of Health code requirements. That is about 1.65 million gallons of water. It's almost, it's just a large amount of water, right? It takes about 8 hours to turn over.
It's equivalent to what some municipalities drinking water supplies are.
Sure.
Going through the filtration systems. Now, we need to turn the water over, as Dan said, at a certain rate. In order to do that, to conform to the current codes, we need a very large and sophisticated system. As you see, based on the data, we need to have a flow rate of about 4,500 gallons per minute for just the main part. That doesn't include the zero entry, which is another 2,400 gallons per minute. So we're looking at almost a 7,000 gallon per GPM, gallons per minute flow rate. When you have a flow rate, that relates to pipe sizes, it requires pump sizes, it requires filter sizes, infrastructure for the building, let alone that these things need to be serviced so often. You know, the larger we grow the system, the larger it becomes as far as work that the city has to do. You can go over to the next slide. Going through. So another thing that we don't currently have at the pool is the ability to skim the water. And skimming is removing the top layer of water. And it's seen as the dirtiest part of the pool. In order to do that, we need to install a gutter around the perimeter of the pool. With a gutter, there is other infrastructure that's required, surge capacity, the ability to store that storage, collector tanks. So that surface area grows in the infrastructure that's required. And due to the unique shape that the existing pool presents, we need to take it further and be able to understand it. Typical pools, what you see on a 75 by 75 pool, which is a 25-yard pool, or even a 50-meter pool, which is 164 by 75, they typically are in a rectangular pattern. And yep, better.
Yeah.
Should I start over?
Do you guys want to start over?
I was just continuing.
We're going over the rectangular pool patterns. We know how the current systems are designed to be able to retrieve that water from the surface. With a circular pattern, as we have here, we need to provide a different type of approach, which is a computational fluid dynamic model. And that computational fluid dynamic model will then be able to tell us the size and the infrastructure required, which could lead to even more items that need to be installed in the pool in order to keep that current configuration. Well, all right, so the purpose for the computational fluid dynamic model is to deliver the filtered water back to the pool that is clean and disinfected, and making sure that we don't have any dead zones, that we have a clean environment for all the swimmers at any point and anywhere in the pool. So it's a crucial part to the analysis. And this analysis is really needed based on the current configuration. And as you can see kind of from this detail, this is an example of a computational fluid dynamic model. These are acting as the water jets or the inlets into the pool. And the red area is the dead zone. So when you put it through its model, you'll be able to tell how fast the whole pool will turn yellow. And that means a well-mixed pool and a well-balanced pool. Filtration requirements. So as I had said before, the filtration requirements to be able to meet that 7,000 gallon per minute turnover rate is quite large. We're looking at larger filters than what are there today. And, you know, with these filtration systems, there's also byproducts as far as backwash, sewage that has to be backwashed each week. So the larger you make the pool, the more filtration that needs to occur, the more waste of water that occurs, which we're trying to reduce the amount of water that we're going to waste ultimately in the end. Another requirement is the pumps. So with a large pool of this size, we're looking at very large pumps. And they're not common to the aquatic industry in the sense that, you know, once you kind of go over the 40 horsepower limit, you're getting into more specialty pumps. And something that you try to avoid on designs, because it's harder for them to be serviced ultimately in the end. All right, access. You want to go to the layout? Sure. Okay. You can go to the full configuration. Yeah, given that we have a bowl and it's a zero entry on all sides, an individual, typically on most pools, you have an entry point every 75 feet. And it allows a couple things. It allows an individual to get out of the pool at an easier rate. They don't have to swim and be exhausted to get to the other side of the pool. Another reason is, you know, with kids, they go in the pool. If they're far away, they're not going to get out to use the restroom. They're going to use the pool itself. So it's certain things like that that we want to avoid ultimately in the end. And it's a safety thing too. If you have a fatigued swimmer, they're going to require a rescue. And if you have the inability to be able to grab that person within a certain time limit, it's more of a challenge. Yep. Correct. Yep. So you have more fecal incidents within the pool if you don't have enough access points.
I'm sorry, when you answer a question, can you please repeat their question because everyone can't hear them.
Okay. The question you had was fecal incidents, right? The frequency of fecal incidents. Not necessarily based upon the shape, it's based upon the size and be able to have entry points. Go ahead, Tom.
We're going to hold questions for the answer at the end, but we'll definitely get to that question. And some of the answer we may not have that data on hand right now, but we'll get to when we get to Q&A. Thank you.
Okay, Dan, you want to go on to the next slide?
If you have a phone and want to jot down your questions, you know, if you didn't bring any paper, we can look at possibly getting paper. Jared, can you look downstairs, bring the paper and pens so that individuals can write down questions? So
Yeah, if they write it down the card, we can bring it up
Yeah.
and read it at the end. So, all right, so at least, so this kind of gets into the lifeguards. And I don't know if you want to talk more about the lifeguard situation as far as the square footage based upon the pool surface. Right now, we have 1.6 acres, which is 70,000 square feet. A typical pool typical community pools are around 5,000 square feet. That service about 300 people at any given time. So it's just a very large surface area to accommodate, requiring 22 lifeguards at one time, which requires you to have 44 on that particular day. And it is an additional cost, yearly cost, given that you need to have 44 lifeguards on a daily rotation, which is
I'll just mention the one thing about this slide in particular that I spoke about beforehand when we we're talking about the operation of the pool. As mentioned, we haven't opened up the pool fully this summer because we don't have enough lifeguards. The majority of the time in the past 3 years that I've been working with the Department of Recreation, the pool has been closed down to some degree, more than 95% of the time. It is quite frequently, at least, shut down in the back area by that weird fish mural building. But at the same time, this is a challenge that we're going to be continuing to see as pay rates continue to rise, as well as the difficulty of recruiting lifeguards and sustaining lifeguards continues to rise. Overall, we were able to maintain a budget or stay in budget for this season, even though we were having lifeguards work overtime and so forth. But that was also we planned on, not as many lifeguards, working for, or let me rephrase that. We planned on not having to operate as much as we did this summer, but we don't have as many lifeguards as we do, or as we normally would. So we're staying under budget, which is good. But typically what we'd be looking at is spending about $422,000 at our current rates for lifeguards season, which again, if the community, lifeguarding is necessary to operate the pools, and the cost overall, again, we'd be willing to pay it as I know I, as a resident, as a taxpayer, I'd be willing to pay it to make sure that we have the necessary coverage. It's more of, that is just a factor that we want to consider is it is getting more costly to be able to outfit, a large body of water of this degree. But no matter what, whether it's, however big the facility may be that we look at, there is going to be no lifeguarding needed. So that's why I talked about the Albany, working with Albany High School, because we're going to need lifeguards no matter what. But it is a significant cost in various ways.
So a little about the programming that in the current configuration that we have known about. One, Justin's staff really isn't able to offer a lot more for the programming side besides general swim lessons. Currently this year, 20 participants started, 8 finished. Other programming interests have been water volleyball or paddleboard yoga, water aerobics, or lap swim. So those are very limited with the current configuration. Advanced programming spaces need a depth greater than 8 feet. So currently, although it's marked 7 feet, I believe it's about 5.5 feet or so, 5 feet, Justin's confirming. So those other programs really are not even an opportunity to happen here in the current configuration, or even just simply the current depths that are available with water. We mentioned a little about the bollards or the markings within the pool for the depths. Those bollards, the yellow, for those who look out the window, are supposed to be identifying 3.5 feet, probably more like 1.5 to 2 feet currently, based on the current water levels. But those are really a restriction in terms of access within the water area, and they restrict the programming abilities within the pool itself. Otherwise, simply having the lack of walls for swimmers that are experienced or rather inexperienced possibly to get into lap onto if they're exhausted or they can't make it to the side safely due to an incident or a need to get out of the pool quickly. That's just a challenge of the current configuration. So with that, we wanted to just bring forward 4 pools of similar size. They're by no similar shape at all. We're going to run through these really quickly. Each one has a similar characteristic we thought would be interesting to everyone to listen to hear about. Just for perspective, they have different sizes, shapes, configurations, and a variety of uses. They are all public facilities besides one. So I'll start with the FDR State Park Pool down in Yorktown Heights. So I'll run through Saratoga Spa State Park, the Peerless Pool, Mandalay Bay, which I don't think we're going to build here, but you'll see it's enormous. And I wish we were all there right now, sitting out by the pool in a minute. And then University of New Hampshire has a very interesting pool. Although it sounds like a college university pool, it's actually a public pool on the university campus. So I'll cover that here in a minute, and it's actually a smaller of all that I'll cover here.
How many acres is the Lincoln Park?
Lincoln Park Pool is 1.6 acres was the question. So for comparison, these are all smaller, but you'll see many have multiple pools. So if you add them cumulatively, some are close to 1.6 acres. The FDR pool down in Yorktown Heights, as I found out, is the largest pool in New York State park system, constructed in 1963. They reconstructed this, finished this up just this past year at a $30 million renovation of this pool facility, and it is roughly 1 acre in size. Has zero depth entry for those looking on the screen in the lower right-hand corner, and it goes all the way to a 9-foot depth. Within the shallow area, as you see in the lower left-hand, upper right-hand picture, are spray features, other amenities that were incorporated into new construction. And during the renovation, they renovated the concession stand, added a new bathroom facility, and added new state-of-the-art water filtration systems. It's pretty big, but compared to the Lincoln Park Pool, not that big, right? So 1.0 acres with a blue square overlaid into our current pool facility. It's obviously longer, not as wide, but just for perspective, this is the FDR State Park Pool down in Yorktown Heights. So moving on to a little closer to our proximity to Albany, Saratoga Springs, constructed in 1962, the Peerless Pool. This is roughly 0.4 acres in size. As you see in the photos, there are actually 3 pool bodies, pool facilities within this one area. For those who have not been there, you have the main water body, that rectangle. And if you look to the right, I can't see because my pointer, but if you look to the right on this side, here and here are 2 smaller pools. One is this slide feature off to the top. And then they have a kiddie wading pool with a mushroom here in the bottom left. This was, the back house specifically was actually torn down and reconstructed back in 2017 or so to reconstruct to make that facility accessible and state-of-the-art. It does have zero entry, 9 depth I mentioned, and has the 2 pools with a separate slide and wading pool facilities. So this is 0.4 acres. All 3 pools fit in within the Lincoln Park body itself. You can see it's a pretty small pool compared to what we have outside. Moving on to Mandalay Bay, it's a little bit of a wow feature here. Obviously, it's a private facility in Las Vegas, Nevada. 1.5 acres is the area of the larger pool. It kind of looks, it's the pitch and low left-hand corner. Has zero entry depth all the way to a wave pool. And I read that they can have waves up to 6 or 8, 10 feet for surfing. They have not used it for that, only for special events. I wonder what that would be. But typically the waves are, I think they set up to 48 inches or so. But you can see it's a fantastic facility, private. They have a lazy river, which actually wraps around. I'm not going to point to the right spot, but they have a couple of cool facilities around the lazy river down here. So it's pretty big. It's almost as big as Lincoln Park Pool, just that one water by itself. So at 1.5 acres, I think I just said, yeah, 1.5 acres. Similar features, zero entry on the one arc side, and then the wave feature in this pool is in the lower depths in the rectangular side of the pool. As all these pools, you see that they do have zero entry feature, which is a fantastic component for all these pools, with a hard edge with a lot of the edges, which you'll see here, which is, as Mark mentioned, ability for people to get to the side, that if they have to be rescued, they can get out to a vertical face. So those are features that in all these pools that you see as a common component that we're just kind of pointing out. And finally, University of New Hampshire outdoor pool in Durham, New Hampshire. It's a little wee pool of 0.3 acres, zero depth entry with lap lanes. It's a little deceiving by the aerial photo, but the arc here is a nice configuration, but actually only this part of the pie, this little piece in the lighter blue, is the only zero depth entry component of this pool. It does have this half circle with a series of lap lanes off the back, and this is about 0.3 acres in size. Of course, it fits in Lincoln Park Pool, right? Very easily. Very small, but you can see that the shape is there, and it's just interesting to see comparable about the size and the configuration of that pool and how it relates to ours. I was trying to think of what capacity might be of that pool, but as Mark mentioned, most municipal pools can handle about up to 300 patrons at a time. I believe for code, or we have not exceeded 150 patrons in current 2021. We're not allowed by code to actually have over 150 patrons in Lake Park Pool.
If we had full lifeguarding staff.
If we had our full lifeguarding capacity, which is 22 lifeguards on the pool deck and 22 lifeguards waiting to replace them on the break or rotation, we would have a maximum capacity of 312. So right about that 300 number, 312. But we have not been able to do that. And our maximum capacity this year has been 150 to, I think our max on one day was 165. I think that was 4th of July weekend.
So just for perspective, I thought, why not scale it up, you know, just to see what it looks like. So approximately 2 to 3 times the size of that pool in New Hampshire. Again, the one that I scaled up was 0.3 acres, so maybe it's at an acre, just a little over an acre is my guess. But just really seeing how the footprint would relate to Lincoln Park Pool, just for a scaled up purpose here. So again, as mentioned, this pool here, the only zero entry that was in UNH's pool is that little pie, little slice of the pie. The rest is a full depth with the lane markers on the bottom. Again, just for comparable purposes, just to give you a spread of what other pools like, and it really confirms that it's a pretty large pool we have, which I think would be great, whatever design we come up with at the end. So this whole process I'm going to run through, we've had public engagements. We really value the inputs. We are currently hosting the online survey still. That'll be open for a little while longer. But after this, we're going to have some more sessions for inputs. Some pop-up events we'll be attending here in the future, and hopefully in-person workshop meeting to get more people on hand for engagement. So as you can see, we're here at the bottom of the left-hand column, weeks August 8th and 15th. And we hope to be by August 30th with another PAC meeting, a progress review. Hope to attend some pop-up events, the South End Market, possibly Play Streets. And then we hope to have a workshop meeting here in the pool at the bathhouse right before the pool closes for the season to talk through ideas and input we've received to date. So with that, just so everyone is aware, we're still in the concept design, public engagement process, really collecting your thoughts. We have a ways until we get out to the future through design development and final design, because we have nothing designed at this moment. And that end horizon of construction is to be determined. We really have no thoughts yet, basically because there is no funding available at this point allocated for this project. But hopefully that due to the condition the pool is right now, we will have something in the near future. We're hoping to have something to build and to reconstruct. So again, we're here in this early concept of engagement process phase, and we hope to be moving forward here at the end of the year. So with that, I want to thank everybody for coming, attending virtually or in person. We'd like to open up to some question and answer. Due to the microphone, we're going to ask people, we're going to recite what your question is so that people on the virtual can hear what the question is. So bear with us as we repeat your questions. And if questions come in, Lauren, you just raise your hand and we'll get those questions answered as well. Thank you.
So one of the ways we're going to look at doing this is we'll take a question for live individuals, and then we'll do a question from online. We'll do 1 for 1, if that's okay with everybody. Okay. I do want to just thank again the PAC committee for being able to provide pizza, wings, and beverages for us here this evening. Thank you to all the members and for being able to ensure that we have a more comfortable meeting as far as not being hungry well at this late evening hour. So let's go ahead and open up the floor to questions. We have one in the back there. Again, I will repeat the question after it is stated.
I have two questions. First question is, will there be a design charrette where the site plan is provided that people can play around with ideas of two scale, drawing ideas using that footprint? Second question, is it possible to create sustainable kind of design that incorporates natural hydraulics, similar to maybe what they would do in ancient Rome or ancient Persia with regards to movement of water?
So the first question to repeat is, will there be a charrette to be able to have community input, to be able to play with the design and move things around? Is that correct? And the second question, is there a way to be able to use sustainable, natural ways of being able to have water flow through the system, such as in ancient Rome and other areas that have used water naturally? I'll let the gentlemen over here speak to that engineering component. The charrette part, we do have, workshop meetings are going to be the charrette. So we have that planned for the week of August 30th, as they're going to be here at the bathhouse, where we can develop ideas and alternatives, open to the community. For the second part, I'll let the gentleman, you have an engineer.
As far as the answering the question about using sustainable ways to recirculate water. So the basic premise upon recirculating water is from the Romans. They've had pools for hundreds of thousands of years. And it's take the water, bring it back, filter it, and return it in proper patterns. Now, the one thing that we need to adapt to in any design in the state of New York is applying it to the current code by the approving authority. So we will have to kind of combine those two in a sense.
So it's possible?
It well, based upon the basic way of recirculating a pool is based upon ancient methods.
All right, we'll take a question from the Zoom. From Chris. All right, we're going to answer Chris's question. What is the question, Lauren?
Hi, can you hear?
I can hear you, Chris.
Oh, good. The first thing I want, I just want to make sort of a broad brush observation, which is that it's abundantly clear to me that you have been determined since day one to build a more conventional pool. And you just continue generating a whole litany of reasons why it isn't possible to build a pool similar to the pool that's in Lincoln Park now. Your whole mindset is just completely negative, and that's disturbing. But that's okay. I'm gonna soldier on here. I want to address just a handful of the reasons you're presenting why it isn't practical to build a pool similar to the pool that's in Lincoln Park now.
Chris, wait a minute. No one cannot hear you. Hang on a second. You've got to mute and talk into my computer. That's the problem. We've got the sound over here.
Can you type your question into the chat? We're getting a lot of feedback on the audio. We'll read your question aloud. You can confirm your question and we'll answer it for you. Yeah, well, while we're waiting for his question to be typed in. While we're waiting for his question to be typed in, we're going to ask another question from the gallery here. Who else? Anybody else have a question? Gentleman in the back.
Here, now talk.
Meetings open to the public, and how many more are actually scheduled?
So PAC meetings, we have PAC meeting number 3 4, and 5, and 6, going all the way to the 1st of November, that first week. As far as being open to the public, are you interested in joining the pack? I don't know if we've actually talked about that, but I think we'd be open to it, but the PAC meeting is more about a steering committee to have, actively engaged members to help, of the community, being able to guide how we reach out and communicate with the public. So, for the most part, I want to kind of leaning towards no, but at the same time, there is the possibility. I think we'll talk about that more internally, and we can get back to you if you want to leave your name and contact information. We'll get back to you on that. Okay.
Now.
Okay, we have a question from the chat.
Can you speak up now?
Yeah, could I finish my question?
Go ahead.
Yeah, I wanted to I want to address all the engineering reasons that you're presenting that make it look like it's not possible to build a big round zero entry pool. And I can't go into detail now, there isn't time, but you guys scared Corandis Pools, the local pool builder, you scared him off. So I have found a much larger pool design company out west where they really know a lot about swimming pools. And I've had lengthy conversations with the owner of that company, and he has absolutely says he can build a large round zero entry pool that addresses every one of the health and safety concerns that you guys have raised vis-a-vis the New York State health and safety codes. Every one of those problems is easily addressable. He's also given a cost estimate for building a pool the size of the pool we have now. And I don't want to go into that, but it's not even as expensive as one might think, and certainly not as expensive as you seem to be suggesting. And then the lifeguard issue, the staffing issue. Again, your mindset is so negative. There is such a need for good jobs in the South End, Arbor Hill. And I'm glad that you've started the lifeguard program at Albany High. Justin, there isn't time for you to tell me exactly how it's going, but I just hope that you'll continue to work on expanding that program. And I'd like to see the day come soon where there are 50 kids at Albany High going through that training and coming out on the other end with a good high-paying summer job. So it really bothers me to look at this as a problem. I really wish you'd start looking at this as an opportunity. That yes, a big round zero entry pool needs 20 lifeguards at a time. That's fantastic, because that's 20 really good jobs for young people in the city of Albany who really need jobs, and they need skills that they can take with them when they go other places and so on. Yeah, just your negativity is just depressing.
Chris, do you have a question?
Attendance. The last thing was about attendance. I do have a question, but about attendance, I really feel like that's a red herring. The attendance at the pool is down in the last several years more than any other reason, because the pool's in such bad shape. I've gone to the pool a couple times this summer, and there's so many sharp concrete shards on the bottom. It's really unpleasant to walk around in the pool. And then the pool's only half full, and when there's a new pool in Lincoln Park, and by God, if there was a new 300-foot in diameter zero entry pool that resembles the pool that was built in 1931, that pool is going to be packed. People are going to come from hell and gone to go to that pool because it's going to be so amazing. The attendance is going to be an issue then, because people are going to want to go there, especially if
Chris, do you have a question for us?
Yes, and the question I have is, when I met with the mayor and I addressed all of the technical engineering issues, she very quickly pivoted to saying that the pool that we have now is dangerous, that there's a high incidence of, high risk saves that lifeguards are having to make. And she said that you guys had compiled statistics and you had compared them with other area municipal pools.
We need to.
Lincoln Park Alliance is extremely concerned about safety. So I said this to the mayor, I've emailed the mayor a couple of times about, I'd like to see that, what Lincoln Park Alliance would like to see that document. I've had a call into Jonathan Jones for, I stopped calling. I just gave up because I've gotten no response.
Chris, are
So
you
my
asking
question
for
is,
a
yes, my
number on
question
the
is,
high incident?
yes.
You saying high incident of what?
Of high-risk saves at the pool, lifeguards having to make high-risk saves because the pool, because of its inherent design, is dangerous. So my question is, how can we get our hands on the document that the mayor mentioned?
We have aquatic daily reports that denote in-water rescues. We have incident reports that denote it. So if you want to talk about those, I can, talk about, those incidents with you. This season in particular, I think we had 7 in-water rescues in which our lifeguards had to enter into the water and rescue individuals who were distressed and drowning. So all rescues were made appropriately. Our lifeguards did the job that they're here to do. I will address the other components. You mentioned the engineering aspect. We did speak with Corandis Pools when we asked them specifically, and I think there might be a misunderstanding communication. When asked if they can build a pool, they say they can build whatever engineers and architects put in front of them. So
Exactly.
when we talk
Right.
about
He
if
doesn't
a
have
pool
the,
of this
he
design can
doesn't
be
have,
built,
no,
they
I know,
refer to us
he
to
doesn't
say
have the
you need to speak
engineering
with engineers and
capabilities.
architects. That was Corandis Pools.
Right.
So if the
So-
other
so-
construction group that you
yes.
have makes the claim as well, and if they have engineers, architects that can say, we will happily have the discussion with them, just like before, Chris. Send
They
me the
are,
information, that way we can
they are engineers and architects. This company, Aqua Design International.
That's why I'm
They
asking you,
are
please send me the
pool
information,
architects
and that
and
way we
pool
can do our
engineers.
due diligence.
I've already
and go
sent it
through
to the
process.
mayor. I've already emailed it to the mayor 10 days ago. I
Okay,
didn't get
then
any
I'll follow up
response.
with the mayor's
I've
office and
already
make sure that we
shared
get
that
that
information
information.
with the mayor.
Thank you, Chris. And to your point about the lifeguards, I appreciate you complimenting me on my fine work, but we're not looking at it negatively, it's pragmatically. The reality of it is difficult, and it will continue to be difficult to recruit staff to lifeguard a pool in New York. If you go around, I saw 3 signs today, lifeguards wanted, one in Cohoes, one in Water Elite, and one over in Gilderland. Everywhere. There was actually individuals from Latham came our first weekend trying to poach our lifeguards.
There are 3,000 students at Albany High School.
It is a pragmatic viewpoint, but anybody who knows me, I'm a fighter, and I'm going to be fighting to make sure that, and I love
Good.
recreation, so I'm going to make sure that we fight to make sure we have lifeguards here.
There's
And
3,000
it
kids
is
at
actually
Albany
rather
High
enjoyable
School
for me
that
to
could
teach them.
potentially become lifeguards. 3,000.
So thank you, Chris, for your question. I will make sure we follow up with you regarding the information you provided the mayor. Dorian, yep, we'll go Dorian.
Hi, I have a really quick and simple question, and that is there a commitment already to a contractor? Has a decision about who's going to design and who's going to build this pool already been made, or is that something that we can still explore, get bids, talk to various firms?
As far as we do have Weston and Sampson on contract to design the pool, any aquatic facility that the community comes to, kind of the community puts forth as far as the overall survey results and going through the process that we've outlined. Weston and Sampson is on contract to be able to do that for us. As far as building, we have not gotten to that phase. We have not discussed it. We have not looked at any contractors in general. We haven't even thought about that. We're still trying to make sure that we're getting community input right now.
Okay, so our engineer and our designer, basically, we already have those. There's no value or possibility of any conversation with anyone else. Is that what you're saying?
We have Weston and Sampson on contract to be our design and their architect and engineering firm that allows us, that will be able to provide the services for the city of Albany. Thank you, Dorian. Question from the gallery? Yes?
What's the beginning and the end of the pool season? When will it start? How many weeks does it last?
Currently, our beginning of the pool season is typically the 3rd or 4th Saturday in June, typically right after the last day of public schools or the last Friday of public schools being open. That first Saturday, or that 3rd Saturday, I should say. And then we go all the way to Labor Day. So depending on staff and abilities to be able to staff the facilities, we go to Labor Day, which this year is September 6th.
We'll get to you right after.
We'll get to you right after the online question. Marie? Hi, Marie.
Hi, can you hear me okay?
We can hear you just fine.
Okay, I was wondering, does Weston Sampson have the engineering capabilities to do computational fluid dynamic modeling? And do you think that Weston Sampson's inability to have computational fluid dynamic modeling done, where she would have to subcontract to a different agency, which would cost a lot of money, is inhibiting your ability to do the design?
So the question was, do we have in-house capabilities at Weston Sampson to do computational fluid dynamics models? So the answer is no, but we have on our team a whole slew of specialty firms, one of which can handle computational fluid dynamic models. Sure. Yes. And I'm gonna go back to the slide for those. The question is, actually the question, can we show or discuss what computational fluid dynamic models are? So as Mark mentioned, a pool is water circulates through a pool. And what this dynamic model shows you is it simulates the patterns of water within a pool, the physio and chemical characteristics of a pool, how they circulate through the pool to prove that we're not going to be dead spots. There's no spots about being touched where water is not circulating. As mentioned earlier, if water is stagnant, where water is not cleanly flowing, you get a water body that could have characteristics that are not favorable for our health, right? So pathogens, viruses, etc., the water needs to flow to circulate. So in the model, as you see here, the rectangle example, which is a typical square or rectangle pool, what happens is you have jets on the side of a pool, and they disperse water out into the pool area, as illustrated in yellow color within this model. And as that water is turning around, this model is showing a different color variation to say it gets to the middle and it's going to go down, it's going to cycle. It's going to tumble from the outside to inside in this model here. So a model of computational fluid dynamic model is actually modeling what the pool would look like, the final results. We would have to prove that to Department of Health to share that it's going to flow. We're not going to be dead spots. We meet the health code requirements. And that as designed, once they get in to actually build this pool, it's going to function as planned and designed.
So I guess my follow-up question is that I feel like, from what I've seen, you guys have not done this modeling for a pool of our shape, but you have stated that if it was done, it wouldn't work. And part of what I understand about computational fluid dynamic modeling is that you could, substitute, try out different pumps, try out different things to see what you could do to make it work and to see if it wouldn't work. And from what I understand, without this step, done, one, you have to prove to the Department of Health, but two, you haven't necessarily proved to the people who really want this old, beautiful circle lake-like pool that it can't be done. So I'm wondering if there's a way for you to send that out to your people who you have to do the modeling, since you don't have that capability on staff to do it. And then I also wonder about you guys, not that I don't love a small design firm. I love a small design firm. But in terms of a pool of this size, it sounds like some of the problems that you're coming up against, other designers might not, and they might have people on staff who might be able to be more creative because they would be doing the modeling as part of their design work.
Sure. To answer your question, the first question is, we have not modeled this pool. We have seen what it might take. We've looked at this size and shape. We've estimated what it might cost to model this pool of size. We have not done this model. We have confirmed with Department of Health that it's not a promise that we show the model, that they are going to either accept it or they've not guaranteed that the model will prove that acceptable to them It might take a couple iterations. That's just honestly how models work. So we have not modeled that as a fact. Within our firm, it's very specialty fluid dynamic models. Mark leads our aquatics group, which he does pools around the country. It's not a typical need of pools since most are rectangular. But if we do need, we do go to our teaming partners, as in this case, that would handle simply only that model if necessary. Mark, I don't know how many pools you've worked on where you've had to use this model, maybe a handful, but it's not very typical.
It's not a typical model. And to kind of reiterate what Dan was saying, we're not saying that we couldn't, once you do the fluid dynamic model, there are tweaks, but there is the risk that the approving authority may not accept it ultimately in the end. One thing that we're trying to show here is from Weston and Sampson, I mean, we do pools, like Dan said, around the country. I've done hundreds in my career. There is no doubt that we can engineer the same exact pool. What we're trying to relay is, does this meet the community's needs? And that's where we're at that point right now.
I want to thank for the question, but also reiterate that while yes, the community, many in the community, we are at that 53, 46, 47% right now. So, we're keeping the community feedback open right now. That's part of this whole process, is being able to see, what the community wants overall. And at the end of that process, I'm sure we'll readdress if the community majority says they want to try and keep the design configuration. That's when we'll have the conversation about fluid dynamic model. We'll look at the cost of that, and Weston and Sampson, we have confidence in their partners to be able to give us a model and be able to work with New York State in order to be able to ensure we, as the city of Albany and the residents of the city of Albany, are being treated fairly and rightly with regards to again our heart of Lincoln Park. Thank you for the question. Yes, sir.
Thank you. Thank you for putting this presentation together. I was very glad that you were able to provide real-life examples of schools in other locations, right? And that in itself certainly expanded my expectations and sense of what might be possible, And I'm just wondering if you have any sense of what the annual operating expenses of any of those schools were. I'm not expecting you to provide details. In fact, you may not even want to address the questions I'm framing, right? But nevertheless, back to the idea of expanding the consciousness of people who are making decisions on the survey, I think getting these examples in front of them somehow or other is very important.
Thank you. That's more of a comment, but you did ask a question, could we get the operating expenses? With the Saratoga State Park pool, I'm sure we could be able to connect with partners and fellow colleagues in the at the state, as well as University of New Hampshire. I'm sure we could be able to find that information. I believe that is a public university, and the FDR State Park. I'm sure we'd be able to find that information. So Jared, Lauren, if we can put that on our list of information to find so that we can have comparable operational costs of those facilities. And then we can also put together a comparable cost of how much it costs to operate our facility so that we can kind of see where we're currently at in comparison to those. Thank you for the comments and questions, sir.
I could add a little to that. So based on our experience around the country, a pool that would typically see 300 to 500 individuals per day, you're looking at an average yearly operating cost. And granted, in our four-season climate, not in Florida or Texas where they have expanded time frames, you're looking at anywhere between $160,000 to $240,000 a year to operate just that pool. Mechanicals and staff.
Okay, and as mentioned, our staff, we're looking at if we were to operate a 1.7 water body, no matter what the shape, if it's 1.7 acres, we're looking at about $422,000 in staffing for lifeguards alone, which is a big operating cost. But at the same time, again, that's just part of the equation we want people to think about when we're going through this process. All right, but thank you, sir, for the questions and comments. Online, we got you, sir, will be next, and then we'll go online first. Mike online. Mike, you got the mic.
All right, I'm going to turn on my video. Can everyone see me?
We can hear you.
Hear me? Okay. All right. Good. I guess just a quick background on me. I used to work as a lifeguard at Lincoln Park, and one of the, I guess, preseason pep talks we used to get was by our unfortunately late boss, John Lash at the Department of Recreation. And it was about the value that the pool had to the community, you know, the working class, you know, the poor community in the south end of Albany and even beyond that. And one of the, I guess, unique features of Lincoln Park, and I guess I did post this question in the chat, so I guess I'll get down to it, is that it was free to access for the public. I know you had to pay to get a locker. You know, there were some, you know, hidden costs to get into the pool, but you know, if you walked up to the pool with a towel and a bathing suit, you could get in for free. And I guess my question is there a commitment? Can you say definitively now today that this new pool, whatever design it may have, will be free for the public to access?
I can definitively say that there hasn't been any conversations about charging a fee. That would come down to the mayor, the common council, to be able to set fees that we put forth. But there has not been any conversations about setting a fee. So the question was, can we commit to, or is there a commitment that there will be no charge for any future facility, as there is currently no charge to be able to enter into the facility? Mike, I'll echo your sentiments. I myself, John Lash Sr., may he rest in peace. He brought me in to the Department of Recreation in 2004 as a ranger. And he talked to me about the same importance of making sure that these facilities are, the work we do in recreation helps neighbors, bond together, helps communities grow together, and builds communities overall. I looked up to him, and I'm honored to be working in the same offices that he worked in for the majority of his life. So I echo the same sentiments, and again, it is our intention of wherever this lands, monetary or revenue gain is not any part of the discussion right now, nor do we intend on it being a prominent part of any discussion in the future.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Thanks, Mike.
Looking at my lap. All right, I'm gonna throw on the.
All right, gentlemen, right there.
Thank you. Yeah, I just wanted to, you mentioned 46% and try 30%. They'd like to have a pool that's identical. Well, that's not a majority. Probably is a plurality if you look at everything more than any other design that people would prefer to have that pool the way it is now. It's also interesting, if the word is identical, what I would think about the pool and say, people want a pool based on the current design. There might be people too that, maybe they don't envision having to be identical, but they want something that's largely based on this design. And I just want to know how important it is. This pool is really important to people in this community. I represent this neighborhood in the county legislature. And I think, people ultimately need to be based on something that the community accepts and the community wants. People are really proud of this pool in the South End. Maybe people might be okay if it's, something that's a little bit different, but I think people worry that they're going to be handed something that doesn't fit the community, that's a lot different from this. That's, it doesn't really fit the needs. So. That's not really a question, but
well,
the question is, we should the New Hampshire pool, for example, blew that one up 2 or 3 times, and it kind of fit that, I don't think that's probably not the right design, but maybe people would be okay with something that's like that, but a little different. Maybe the zero entry part was 2 or 3 times the size, the top a little smaller. Maybe not, just making a suggestion. Maybe people really want to keep that same exactly the way it is, but are you going to provide different options like that for people?
So as with the timeline schedule, and thank you for your comment and your service to the community. With the timeline schedule, these workshop meetings is that opportunity for the public. Again, first, we're collecting data through the survey. We're working with the PAC committee to be able to help guide how we collect and how we engage the public during this time. And then we're going to be going through and then being able to put these informational meetings, these workshop meetings, to be able to put these ideas down so that we work towards what is best for the community. So we're not intending on, again, putting out something that the community doesn't want. It is our focus to be able to make sure that this is a community-driven project as far as the concept, the idea, based on the survey results, based on these workshops, based on the PAC meetings, based on these open public house meetings. So we hope that, again, we gain participation, and we're glad to see participation here this evening in person as well as online. And we're glad to see that we've had X amount of respondents for the survey, and we are keeping it open through September or through August up until Labor Day to the close of the pool to garner more feedback. So that way we can have that informed decision of what the community wants. As one of the surprising things for me, Lazy River. I would never have guessed people, I mean, it's cool, yes, but I never would have guessed that people in Albany wanted a lazy river. That is something that is interesting, but also we have to weigh all the options that people are suggesting. But right now we're, again, collecting community feedback. And as a elected representative, sir, yes? Oh, yeah, representing at the county level, correct? You said? Yeah. We encourage you to be able to use your channels to help spread the word so that we can get more engagement and participation. But again, we have these opportunities for that tweaking and to be able to massage whatever the community wants to be able to put forth an idea when we get towards that November 1st.
Yeah, and I was like, I mostly heard from people that they want current. But just to be clear, but yeah, this is kind of big.
All right, thank you, sir. We're going to go online, and then you and Tom, you're actually next because you raised your hand as well. And then you in the blue, and then Mr. White over here. Oh, and then the lady over in the red mask. Steve? Stacy, you're on.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you, Stacy.
All right, great. I would like to say that I cannot hear clearly anybody speaking there besides the people that are presenting. So maybe Sam Fine was the one who was speaking, right? But I didn't really.
Fine, yes.
Yeah, I didn't really hear anything online that he was saying clearly at all. Can the people that are there hear us?
Yes, they can hear you.
Okay. Just wondering. So one thing that there's a few things that have been said that I want to second. One is that I'm less inclined to go to the pool right now because I think it's really gross to walk along the bottom of the pool and have all the cement flaking off underneath my feet. I don't like touching things under my feet that are moving around when I'm swimming. So that to me, like, and I'm sure I'm not the only one. So I think that like, if you're looking at utilization and whatever, I'm sure the way that the upkeep of the pool at this moment is certainly not where I would like it to be. Another point is, I think, and I made this in the chat, and no one in the chat, like no one that's there in person is able to see the chat necessarily, but I think the way that the question, I'm an epidemiologist, and I think that the way the question was phrased in the survey was a bit misleading because it's phrased, do you want the exact same pool or do you want all these other exciting things? And I think that either or option is obviously people who are, really advocating that they want the same pool, they're going to choose that. But anybody coming in that maybe isn't thinking about that, they're going to say, ooh, lazy river? Well, I don't want the same pool. I'd like a lazy river. And so I think that the phrasing of the question is really indicative of the type of response that you're going to get. And this is surveys across the board, right? We can critique them. I can really go on and on about this type of thing. The other thing, I do have questions and I'm gonna get to them. I also want to say that the fecal matter, I have, my question number 1 is how many fecal matter episodes have there been in the Lincoln Park pool with 0 entry this year? And then I have question number 2 is budgeting, and I've put this in the chat over and over again. Why I have in years past, and I've said this in meetings past, I have been able, there has been lap swim in the pool, and I've been able to walk down and do laps in the morning. And I haven't been able to do that. I don't even know, maybe 15 years. I'm dating myself a bit. I've been in the neighborhood for a long time. And so all of these exciting ideas and exciting promises, we don't even have lifeguards to maintain the current pool in the afternoon at 50%, or budgets. I don't know what the budget, maybe we have a bunch of budget surplus that we're not using. But when we talk about all of these big exciting things that are being dangled to people as options, are we guaranteeing that there's going to be budgets moving forward to pay for staffing these exciting things like lazy rivers? You need a lifeguard every, I don't know, 15, 20 feet to monitor a lazy river, right?
Yeah,
Much
to monitor a
less-
lazy river, you need to have lifeguards approximately every 15 to 20 feet, correct? So
Yeah,
the lazy
so-
river is an idea that, just like with a larger pool body, water body in general, that's something we have to weigh the operational cost of what we want.
Well, I'm just saying, when you make it an either or in a survey, then like, yeah, it sounds exciting, but it doesn't say like you get a lazy river and then you get no actual pool time because we don't even have lifeguards to maintain the pool, right? So I guess what I think the person who asked, what are the other pool budgets? And then what are our pool budgets? That was right on. Because what staffing, like, I want to go do laps tomorrow morning down at Lincoln Park, but there's no budget for that. And so what are we, if we have a Olympic-sized lap pool, is there going to be a budget that I can go do laps in the morning or not? So I guess I mean, these are like all of these things are being, put out there, but what are the budgetary realities that we're moving forward with? And is this something that is actually going to happen? Those are my, and then like back, so that's my question 2. Question 1 is fecal matter. Question 2 is what, like, as these different ideas, yes, destroy this old pool, put in all these new exciting things, but are we really going to be able to maintain this in a future budget? Because we can do laps tomorrow morning, but there's no lifeguards and the pool's not open. So I guess I'll stop. Thank you.
Answer the first question, thank you. The first question that was asked is, the Department of Health considers this an accidental fecal release when fecal matter is released into the pool accidentally. To our records, we do not have any noted of any accidental fecal release in Lincoln Park Pool this summer. Typically when that happens, not typically, when that happens, we're required by the Department of Health, we need to drain the entire pool, clean out the system, and then refill the pool. That would shut down this pool for a total of 2 days to be able to do that. 1 day to drain the pool, possibly even 3 days, another day to clean it in the morning, get it all flushed out, and then be able to refill the pool. So we would be down out of operation for 2 whole days if that occurred.
But wait, that hasn't happened this summer. Did it happen last summer or the summer before? And did it happen in different years? Like, has it happened more in Lincoln Park versus
I can
other
tell you this
pools?
for a fact. I have been told by guards that work in on our staff that in the past, there had been a failure of on-site leadership, which I have spent years correcting, in which they just dumped a little bit of chlorine in the water, swished it around, and let it happen. That is not appropriate.
No,
We
but
have spent
also,
years focused on making sure we
can
are following health department code.
look, I have a
So-
PhD in public health. But in that, like, is the denominator, how many more kids under 5 are at Lincoln Park Pool versus the other parks that we're comparing it to? And are there more episodes at Lincoln Park Pool with the 0 entry versus a pool with an edge?
So
I
we can research that information. We'll write that down. We'll research that information to figure out, in comparison, to be able to give the statistics on that. To your other question about swimming in the morning, I think that we answered that question are frequently, are the questions that was posted online on our website, right, Lauren? Not posted yet, but we've answered it. We will be posting that shortly, but to answer the question here and now, 16 years ago, if there was lap swimming at Lincoln Park Pool, lifeguard 16 years ago, the pay rate, the minimum pay rate was about $650. Again, as a ranger here at Lincoln Park Pool in 2004, I made $10 an hour. I thought I was a rich college student. The lifeguards made less than me. I was a ranger. I made $10 an hour. Lifeguards made less. They had more qualifications. They had more strict way of being able to be certified. They had more rules that they had to follow. I still made more than them. Now, our minimum wage for our lifeguards, for all of our staff in the city of Albany, is $15.52. So the difference in pay also will automatically have an operational effect. But I can say this, everything I've heard from the mayor's office, from the mayor, is a commitment to aquatics, a commitment to programming, a commitment to the community. So with your question about will we have operational funding going forward? What the mayor will say often is yes, if. So being able to recruit the support and making sure that we as a community say this is important to us. Myself included, as a taxpayer, as a resident here, I will say, and I will say to everybody, this is important to me to have a community pool where our community can come and learn how to swim, to relax and be able to enjoy building our community in a central location. So yes, if we take the right steps to be able to ensure that the operational budget has the funding to be able to support things like morning swim, whether there's a rectangular Olympic pool or a circular pool. Again, it is going to depend on the outcomes of this process, but we are committed to be able to provide more programming and do as much as we can if we can recruit the right resources, make sure that we're working properly and getting the support to be able to show the importance of these programs. Thank you for your question. We're moving to, again, Tom.
First of all, I'd just like to get back to for recruiting lifeguards, workers of all time. That's not so much better. So, a couple of quick questions. First of all, does the city of Albany have any problems supplying water in this pool? Does the city have enough water so that this pool, even though it's not considered, gets enough water? Causing a problem anywhere else in the city?
That would be a question more for the. Okay, so I'll repeat the question. I'm sorry. Lauren, if you can hit me every time I don't repeat the question, I'd appreciate that. So the question is, does the city of Albany have any issues supplying water to the pool? Currently, to my knowledge, I have not been told. I've been told it is a waste of 500,000 gallons a day. Over the course of a season, you can do the math by calculating it out. We can post it online if you want, but I do not have that information. I do not have that information. The Department of Water would be able to give you a better answer on that. I can connect you with a representative from their department if you would like, Tom. Yes? It is not sustainable, is a better answer. It is not a sustainable practice that we would recommend in any regard. I mean, just as a human on this planet, that is not a sustainable practice.
You said
That is correct. 312 participants can go in the pool. So the question was, thank you, Lauren. The question was, in my memory, how many times have we reached the 312 capacity? I can't recall any specific date that stands out. I do recall that on 4th of July, which I've never worked a 4th of July at Lincoln Park Pool, that those were the days where we reached capacity. Maybe a couple days a year, we've reached 312. I believe the pools themselves, I mean, we could reach that capacity with a smaller design, right? No, the pool capacity, yeah, I forgot about this. Thank you, Dan. The actual pool capacity when it, is 4,600 people can actually go in that pool. The facility itself that Department of Health permits us for is 312. Passing through the doors, we can only allow 312 individuals in.
Yes. So based upon the square footage of the water surface area per the code, which is about what, 25 people per square feet per code? Oh.
25 square feet per person.
So 25 square feet per person based upon a total of 1.6 acres is a calculation of 4,666 people per the water body out front, right? But per the code of what's allowed by the Department of Health, we can only have 312 people in this facility at one time.
So what we're saying is that the current pool, the current pool can well exceed, we may be overbuilding, the current pool is overbuilt for the current demand. It's the virtual size.
Oh, the limiting factor is the
Department of Health.
The Department of Health on the nope, just the Department of Health on it. How many, what is it? 3,000? 5,000 square feet.
5,000.
So would hit the 300.
Would hit 300 person mark. So 5,000 square foot pool would hit 300 person mark. What is an Olympic size swimming pool or the a short track?
75 by 75. Yeah. That's roughly 200 and something odd people. And then you have always an accessory pool for little kids.
That's how much? 2,000 or 200?
75 by 75.
If you're talking, if you step off
Yeah, Mark.
75 by 75 would be 5,600 square feet, which would put you over your requirement.
So what would that be?
That's half an Olympic size swimming pool.
So what's the actual 75 by 25?
It's double that size, so
175 by 25?
no, it'd be 150 by 75.
No, yeah, 150 by 75. So that's going to be.
That would be approximately 600 theaters.
So how many people would be allowed by?
Department of Health Code would probably be still 312.
300. So
Yeah.
typical, 400 people would be 300, which is kind of.
So the actual area out there, we overbuild for our capacity limits by the Department of Health. Correct, 312 people. I would have to contact the Department of Health specifically about it, but as far as I know, ever since I've been here, it's always been 312 people.
There's other factors as far as bathrooms, facilities, all of that, to be able to accommodate more people.
That's why he's the engineer. Tom, do you have any, I want to make sure we got all your questions. Well, I'm happy to, continue the conversation going forward. We're going to check over the chat, and then sir in the blue, young lady, then Willie, I'm sorry, and then young lady in the red, and then gentleman over the blue mask. Betsy.
Yeah. Hi. I have a question about the survey, which to me is completely messed up at this point because halfway through the survey period, the survey was changed. And so I have two questions. And I'm not an epidemiologist, and I would love for you to be talking to Stacy Pettigrew since she is. How can the survey possibly be used for data that's at all helpful since it's been completely skewed? That's one question. And two, why was the community not involved in writing the survey? Because I think the survey would have been a lot more accurate had the community, or even the project advisory community, which would include Lincoln Park Alliance, which is the most important body, in my opinion, to stand for Lincoln Park, were not asked to be a part of making the survey. It just arrived. So what is the story behind how that survey was even created, and how come it had no input?
So the question is, how did the survey arrive without receiving any input from the community? Now, I can speak for we at Recreation. I know myself, I was teaching lifeguard certification courses till 9 o'clock at night, ensuring that this pool was up and running. There may have been things that fall through the cracks. We were short-staffed in the beginning of the season. So I will take responsibility for not directing staff to be able to reach out to the community to be able to better shape the survey. However, the change in the question was directed from a conversation that the mayor had directly with the community member who requested that question be added in.
Oh, I know, it was my husband. So I know that.
So with your husband, okay. But so that question in particular, again, was a direct result of community input. Is the survey?
But
perfect?
what is the role of the project advisory committee if it is not to help with this kind of stuff? I don't understand. Why is there a project advisory committee?
The project advisory committee helps guide us on various matters, and while we may not have gotten their input for the survey, which we regret, again, I will take responsibility for not reaching out to them or not getting my staff to reach out and work with them, during the early part of June. We have been reaching out and working with them quite diligently about ensuring that we are moving forward together. So that way, again, this is a community-driven project with community-driven ideas and comments, questions. So we, as mentioned, we may not be perfect, but every day we're trying to be better for our fellow community members to ensure that we're doing this right.
Okay, well, I hope there's really a moment of stepping back with any survey results. I don't like the sort of percentages stuff that's being rolled out like it's terribly accurate, because the survey changed in midstream, and the added question that was added is tricky. It wasn't worded well at all. The use of the term identical is not valid, in my opinion. It's certainly not what I've heard the community saying they want. And the use of, do you want an identical pool or do you want some amenities, is, as somebody said earlier, a tease. It's a complete tease. It's like, what do you mean? You mean I'm not gonna have a bathroom? You mean I'm not gonna have a picnic table?
We hear the comment. We appreciate the comment and echo sentiments from other individuals. So we appreciate that. We'll tally that out. And I'm curious that if your husband was the one who put this question forth, is there any internal battling in your household because of this?
Ha ha. It wasn't, he did not put that question forward in that language at all.
Okay.
So,
all right. Well, then again, we're we're striving to do better every day, and we'll note the comments about the survey and the change in the survey. So we appreciate the questions and comments that you put forth. Going back to the gentleman in the blue.
Okay, so I know that the bigger question now is the third time. Survey is very misleading in the fact that it was after kind of makes it a little bit difficult to manage that. And I guess my specific question is there going to be a photo or a presentation that looks like an identical replica of the pool? Because it's very difficult if someone's just reading that question. Well, if you just look at this pool, many different people can have many different interpretations of it. So are we going to use that question, which obviously was found out and then after the survey went out? Is there going to be a commitment, or is there going to be something that somebody can see what that question means? So you can actually, like, I know what a lazy river looks like. You know, I know what a wave pool looks like. This identical, pool, I know what it looks like now, but that's not really clear that it's anybody. And it's been a very big theme throughout these 2 weeks that we've had the public. It's the very best it is to keep the pool as is. So another follow-up question is there like state historic preservation approvals that need to be done before the pool is constructed? Because this is one of the oldest public parks in the country. But besides that, getting back to the community does, in a large part, want to keep that pool as close as possible. But that question doesn't allow people to really, it doesn't really give an objective or measurable way to actually measure those, those comments.
So again, another comment about or an objection to the survey, the way it's worded, is first and foremost your comment. Second, the question being, is there a way to be able to show visually the depiction of the pool as is to be able to complement that question, correct?
Right, or
So,
whatever design that will be as close to the.
well, we're not putting forth designs until later. Again, that's part of down the road as far as community input.
Back to the survey question, when you ask somebody, does it look, have an identical, representation of this pool, it is a very difficult question to answer objectively. So if there was a picture of perhaps what that would look like, I feel like it would be a much better question than,
So the survey does assume that individuals have a knowledge of what Lincoln Park Pool is.
Right, but again.
So in order for them to, and in all honesty, we opened up the survey primarily here for people coming to Lincoln Park Pool first and foremost. It was online, but it was people who were coming here. So that way, and we do have over on the side, if you enter from that way, on the walls, visual representations of various amenities, as well as the question about, would you like the pool the same? They're obviously coming in and we can say, look outside. So with that question, yes, we will still go forward with making sure that we are doing everything we can to get all community to be able to say wholeheartedly as one. We did everything we could. These are the results that we have. We're putting forth as much effort as we can, as we physically can, to be able to ensure we're doing it. So while yes, we are not perfect, we will continue to learn and continue to do better day after day after day. So we will make sure we're noting that, and we'll make sure that we look at how do we get that visual representation for anybody who may not be aware of what Lincoln Park looks like. You had another question, sir?
It was well said, I mean, I'm not trying to be difficult, I'm just saying that we're really great question that there's a lot of different interpretation of what this pool currently looks like. So it's a lesson for the, representation to it, or make answering the question on the survey easier. Again, going back to other people's kind of voices.
Yeah.
And back to whether or not there's any historic preservation.
Historic preservation. So the State Historic Preservation Office, we did, Weston and Sampson, as well as the city, we investigated with the State Historic Preservation Office. We had conversations with representatives to discuss the historic aspect of the pool. What was found in those investigations, that discussion, was that there needs to be some element of zero depth entry for any future structure that is built. some element, a zero depth entry. So there needs to be some element of zero depth entry. So no matter what gets built, there needs to be some element of zero depth entry. Additionally, they would like us to possibly, if we can, keep the dock, which I'm pretty sure that was actually built in the 70s. So I'm not sure why that's historic, but they would like us to keep the dock, but not required. Additionally, they would like us to keep some version of bollards in the facility as part of kind of a resemblance to what was. They would also like us, and again, these were would likes, not required. Zero depth was the only required. The only other requirement was the actual kind of shape of the footprint, some resemblance of that gumdrop shape, whether it's other facilities within that, the same thing, just in that footprint, but that gumdrop shape, if we were to look at it from a satellite, we should be able to see that gumdrop shape. Another would like is an homage to what the pool was, the history of it, placard somewhere in the facility so that people can read and learn about the historic value. They understood that it is an aquatic facility and aquatic facilities need to be up to modern codes.
Would that make us eligible for funding if we follow that? The historic funding?
We haven't looked into that, but I guess we could add that to the list of things to look into.
How about the size?
The sides, they didn't say anything about the sides in particular. They just said the gumdrop shape is what they want us to keep. Not want, but that's a requirement.
Yeah, in general, the State Historic Preservation Office did acknowledge kind of the change of the efficiency of aquatic facilities, just in terms of general newer technology necessary, efficiencies and costs of the city. So the size is not a requirement, but as Justin mentioned, a couple of features plus an indication of the shape that is today, to some degree, whether it's in-ground pavement surfaces or features within the pool facility, is a requirement of the review. So during design, anything that is prepared would have to be submitted for the State Historic Preservation Office for review and acceptance before a next stage is moved forward to the design process. So to date, we have had conversations to understand what their needs are or what we'd have to follow in terms of the design and planning process. And this is part of their review as well, to acknowledge that we have taken the input from the public. So as we move further, we will be in conversations with them as to how we're respecting or acknowledging previous sizes, shapes, configurations, etc., in acknowledgement of what their requirements are as a review agency.
Thank you, sir. Going to go online for a question.
Could you restate the question about the additional funding just so I can have it for later to look up?
Oh, I just wanted to know if we were qualified for historic funding.
Are we qualified?
Would we qualify for funding?
Are we qualified for historical funding was the question that we're going to look up and be able to get back to the community on. Lighting change scared me.
I'm going through the chat right now. No one has their hand raised.
Nobody has their hand raised? Okay. No, on the chat, Willie. In the chat, Willie.
Sorry.
Sorry. No hand raised? All right, we're going over to Willie White. Which slide are you referring to?
My friend Sam mentioned 46, we got 53. I mean, it seems like this is the, I remember when the Patriots fan just couldn't believe it. This is 46 to 52 staff. And I'm not halfway through. Well, we're halfway through. But I'm sticking to Sam right now. This is, no, I'm not. It's perfectly not. First of all, my question is, when is the survey period end?
We stated before, but will be Labor Day. September 6th is when we close the pool. We will close the survey.
And when are you going to do these young men start working on our new design? Because
We will go through the timeline as outlined here. And November 1st is when this process. See, he knows what slide you're talking about, but he doesn't know what slide I'm talking about. So the week of November 1st is the final PAC meeting, or maybe not the final PAC meeting, but PAC meeting number 6. I can't say that's the last one, but the project wrap up as far as the public engagement strategy.
Sure.
So around that time is when we're going to be looking at concluding when are these young men, you said young men, right? Young men are going to stop doing the public engagement and start designing the new pool for our community.
For our new design.
Our new design. So again, while there is we are waiting for all that to take place before anything occurs. This is also the schedule that they went through, which, do we have this online, Lauren? Are we putting this online, this whole presentation? Yeah. So this will be online, so everybody will be able to review timelines and the process, so that way everybody's informed and can stay with us during this time. 2021 is a great year. Let's keep it together.
Right, and we are going to have charrette for the design.
Correct.
Right. Another question, my friend, is the funding, historical funding on the national registry for the.
Hey, nobody can hear Willie online.
We'll
Hi,
be
Willie,
repeating the
this is
question in a
Stacy.
second.
Hi, Willie. No one can hear you really clearly online. Can you go up to a mic or something?
I will repeat the questions for Willie.
So basically, that's my question. I wanted my friend, Sam, to see that at the current stage of the vote, that, on new design for current, situation, that it's at 53 to 46 right now, right? Because I just.
And the question was about historic funding?
And historical funding on the national registry.
Is the pool eligible for historical or funding at the national level for historic? It is on the national registry. The whole park is.
Yeah, so.
Thank you, Willie.
Thank you.
Moving on, any other questions from online? No hands raised. We got the lady in the red mask next.
So you mentioned, there being, like, concerns about safety and people drowning or being stressed in the pool.
The question before was how many incidents or what were the incidents and risks? Yeah. Yeah. One of the issues with swimmers in a large body of water is
Is there a reason as far as fatigue in the pool as to why people need to be safe, or is that just an assumption overall?
the incident reports that we are currently keeping on file. Yes, I mean, since I've been here, we've been tracking data. I can't say before 2018, any data that was collected.
So that's a question because that will play a role in the reason why we want a different pool. Now, does that mean you can't build rest area or something?
No, it doesn't. That doesn't mean. Yeah. Oh, sorry. I need to. Yeah. Okay.
So does that mean in the current design of the pool, is that completely off limits if possible? If everybody is dead set on the shape of the pool and the zero, definite gravity, whatever it is called?
The question is there an ability to add in rest areas in the deeper parts of the pool within the current configuration to ensure that one of the concerns that was addressed as far as the health code being able to ensure that there's easy egress from the pool for safety matters can be accomplished. I think I got that right. Stop laughing, Brittany. I'm assuming yes, but I'm going to give it to the architect to be able to answer this one.
Yeah, so the question was, could a configuration have rest areas? And when you have a patron that's in distress, as I pull the gear apart, in distress, it's the need for them to get to a point to hang on, right? To not be so deep, right? To get to a place of refuge. So that most times means having a vertical face wall where someone can reach on into a gutter or to get to a shallow area quickly within that duration of being distressed. So I bring up the New Hampshire concept for a couple of reasons, just to show you of how it would work in this pool or how it does work. As I mentioned, in this configuration, the zero entry, and those hopefully you can see me on the screen, is in this, the smaller pie shape is currently the zero entry configuration. So that space, if someone walks in, they have pretty good access to the side areas for the refuge. For as it gets deeper, a patron can get to the sides easy. Now this side is a large open water body, and I'm not familiar enough to know the depths there, but as you see that for sure per the graphics that these are vertical face edges that would provide a place of refuge for a patron in distress. Likewise, this space here not being zero entry, that again is not a place that people can get to grab on for refuge. So in this configuration with modifications of the circle, could it work to have a place of refuge? Yes. Do we have the design worked out? No, by no means. But to resemble a circular configuration, as here's a half circle, this being a lap lane configuration, there is that distance, and I leave on Mark to give us what the distance needed to have that refuge ability for time-wise. But this is a half circle example, and this does work. Mark, anything to add?
Yeah, I think based on what kind of Dan was saying is what you want to do is have a ability to be able to grab onto a wall or something within 40 feet, something along those lines. Oh, sorry. Within 40 feet to grab onto a wall for rest.
And just lastly, when we're talking about funding going into this, does it include this as well?
The question was, when talking about funding going into the project, does it include the Lincoln Park bathhouse as well? Well, we haven't had, we're not at the funding, we're at the community input. We're not considering, or we're not talking about funding right now. But at the same point, from a personal perspective, as a resident, as a recreation professional, I would hope we do, because it makes sense to be able to do it at the same time. So that's all I can say, is that I would hope so. Whether we do or not is going to depend on how things play out in the future. But I'm hoping. Sir in the blue, you had next. Actually, do we have any online? No online. Sir in the blue, and then lady in the back, and then gentleman, and then Danielle.
I'd like to thank you guys for making the point of the importance of walls. One thing didn't get addressed, and I believe your question is the importance of walls in swimming lessons. And this pool is completely dysfunctional for swimming lessons that didn't represent the strong drop off and participation in the number of people who do it. I've taught swimming lessons for many years when I was younger. I was a lifeguard for many years when I was younger. Those walls are absolutely critical to being able to have constructive swimming lessons. You sit on the wall, you kick. You hold on the wall, you kick. Swim to the wall. Wall is what makes things safe. Where you makes you feel safe when you're like, you learn to like breathing and all those good things. This pool is completely dysfunctional for secondly, so I do have a question, what are we doing when we get to the pool to make sure that we have enough USI folks to teach swimming lessons? Second comment, I have never been a lifeguard here. I did employ the head lifeguard for a while. Not while she was the head lifeguard. There are a lot of rescues here, particularly when you have a pool full of water. Not so much now because it's shallow, you're not going to get as many rescues. When the pool is full of water and it goes down to 8 feet deep, and you've got kids like, following their friends and wanting to hang with their friends and they don't know how to swim, it's very easy to bounce yourself in over your head. Having zero entry going to deep water is pretty dangerous, and it's not dangerous in that people are going to drown. You have a lot of lifeguards. It's dangerous in that kids get scared. If you've ever had a near-death experience, it's terrifying. There's a reason why these waterboarding for torture. they need to, it's a, it will deter kids who want to learn to swim. Those near drowning experiences are important. And this pool, with its current design, without a barrier between deep water and zero entry, it's ends up with a lot of rescues from the reports that I've seen from lifeguards from 10 years ago, and daily rescues was my was what I was told. They were doing rescues every day. So my question is, what are we going to do about getting kids to learn to swim and having the staff to be able to get this?
Thank you for your question, sir. The question is, what are we doing, or what are we going to do when a new facility is developed or constructed to ensure that we have water safety instructors, swim lesson instructors, and the like, to ensure that we are focusing on the programmatic aspects. I will concur with your statement as the individual who put together swim lessons for the past 2021 and 2019 seasons. The usable area in the pool to be able to do swim lessons currently is basically 10 feet in front of the bollards and 10 feet behind the bollards, which put the bollards directly in the way of swim lessons. Additionally, the issue with cold water, as soon as children touch their toe to the water and it's cold, they don't get in. Half the group's over there, 3 of the kids are over on the edge, they're not wanting to get in. Creates a monitoring the children an issue with that. Additionally, we can't do what we would like to as far as we're looking at possibility of 140 participants in a swim lesson. So we've mapped out groups of being able to do 6 weeks of swim lessons, 6 levels each, having 10 participants in each group, going throughout the entire, the 6 weeks of the summer. In order to do that, we're reverse engineering it to be able to plan for how many instructors do we need, how many lifeguards do we need, how many lead instructors do we need. And it kind of boils down to an aquatic supervisor dedicated to be able to run those programs and to ensure that we are pushing forward with keeping up to date with water safety instructor certifications, lifeguard instructor certification, or lifeguard certification, CPR certification. Because the reality is, no matter what the facility is, it's probably going to be pretty big. And we're definitely going to need a good amount of lifeguards, not only in this facility, but the other facilities that we operate. We need to be able to build and feed our own system. So with the swim lessons, again, we look to be able to build the program by having those staff, by investing in a point person to be able to monitor and oversee the aquatics division in the Department of Recreation. From there, we will build up and work with our current staff to be able to build them up as lifeguard instructors, swim instructors, and so forth. We have a good group that worked this year. We anticipate being able to cultivate and grow more of our staff to be able to be in that role and get them actually certified to be qualified to do and actually give out certifications to the participants. From there, the overall bigger plan is to be able to run swim lessons all the way from ages 4 all the way to ages 13, 14, even older if need be. Additionally, we're looking at working with the Summer Youth Employment Program to give 14-year-olds a job as a lifeguard academy in which they shadow lifeguards as well as work with lifeguards, teaching or assisting with the swim instruction, helping put together like the floats that they use during swim lessons, be able to make sure that they're an extra eye on the children, as well as getting other supplies and resources for the activities. From there, after they complete the lifeguard academy, they are trained essentially throughout the summer to become or to take the lifeguard certification course. We'll offer them when they turn 15 to be able to take the City of Albany lifeguard certification course taught by our instructors for the low price of $50, not like the YMCA or JCC do for $400, $450 at those facilities. From there, being lifeguards, then we cultivate them into being lifeguard supervisors, and then hopefully better instructors. So we anticipate and we would like to build it so that from the age of 4 to the age of 22, if somebody wanted to be involved with aquatics, they have a spot to be involved with aquatics. That is where we would like to take it. But you are right, sir. We do need to have walls, quite simply, to be able to run more effective swim programs. Now, the argument is more effective swim programs. Yes, we can do some swim programs, but it's not for a city with, I didn't check the 2020 census data, but 2010 it was 97,000 people. For a city with 97,000 residents, 20 kids in a swim lesson to me is shortchanging and not doing the community service. but we are limited by what we can do based on facility. So I hope that answers your question, sir. Thank you very much. Any other questions online? Yes, ma'am.
I'll try to be brief. Couple questions. What are the dates of the charrettes? And I want to also make sure during the charrettes, I think the charrettes, that there's a two-scale drawing for people to draw on so that we can contribute. What are the dates?
So we don't have exact dates. We have approximate weeks that they're going to be occurring. But what we'll do is, again, this presentation will be placed on our website, www.albanyny.gov/recreation. From there, we're going to be able to make sure that we are updating community through our rec alerts. Subscribe. You'll be emailed or text messaged about updates regarding the engagement. We will post dates on our Facebook, our Instagram. We'll plaster everywhere so that we are getting engagement. We'll work with the PAC committee to make sure that they're also reaching out. If you've registered for this event tonight, we'll keep your information. We'll email out information about future. Again, we are focused on making sure that we are getting as many people involved with this as possible. And we want you and your opinions to be able to help shape what the future looks like here at Lincoln Park.
So for the charrette, it would be great to have the site plan, the pool, and the building floor plan. That would be great. And then just looking outside at night at the pool, I'm wondering if there is any possibility of nighttime swim options once it's done. And the other question, is chlorine-free water a possibility at all? Because I hate chlorine. And what about swim team? Is there a swim team option? And is synchronized swimming and diving, are those options for the future of the Lincoln Park pool?
So those were quite a few questions. I'm just going to try to reiterate them. The first one was about the charrette in the workspace and making sure that we have schematic drawings to be able to draw on top of. We will work on making sure that we have that. That's getting nods, yes and yes. So, and Lauren's writing it down, so we'll work on making sure we have that. The second question was about nighttime swimming. That is not off the table, not necessarily recommended because it does create a more hazard for lifeguards, but we have tossed around the idea of doing like a movie, kind of like a dive-in movie, not a drive-in movie, dive-in. It's a program that other municipalities do across the nation, where we do a movie and they do floats and swim. And but again, we have to vet those out and work those out. So the possibilities are there. It is quite lovely here in the evening time. As far as you talked about a swim team. You asked questions, is it possible for a swim team and synchronized swimming? While I'm a huge fan of the Olympics and watching those Olympics go on, with the right facility, again, we can program anything. So it's dependent on, while synchronized swimming could possibly occur in the current configuration, a competitive swim team could not. So again, depending on what we decide as a community, we'll open up different programmatic options. And it's always going to be a give and take of what we can and cannot do. But as I've encouraged everybody and what I encourage everybody to do in general, it's all about finding the balance that we can live with. So that's why I want to make sure we get everybody's input so that we can find where the true balance is of what we want to be going forward with.
Salt versus chlorine.
Oh, chlorine. The question was, can we do a pool without chlorine?
Unfortunately, we cannot. The Department of Health requires a certain residual. What we typically do in our designs is we add ultraviolet light so you can reduce the amount of chlorine concentration that you put in the water. There was someone that asked about salt. Salt is, you're still putting chlorine. Basically, you're taking that sodium crystal and splitting the chlorine from it. It's just a driver of how you chlorinate. So it's still chlorine.
I actually learned that this past summer in New Jersey.
Yep.
My friend has a salt pool, but he was telling me how it turns into chlorine by, anyway, I started playing volleyball and grabbed a hamburger at that point. Thank you for the question. Yes, sir. No online questions? All right, sir.
Just a point that several people brought up, seem to be, that's shut aside. I appreciate that, there is a shortage of qualified, lifeguards. And that you are looking to, create more by going to Albany High School. And there is an eventual plan to, create more, people from the community, as the lifeguards and such. But, right now, it seems to me that the, thing about lifeguards is that it should be a city job. It should be a job that should go to city people, to people who live in the city, and especially for people in South End. I'm wondering, right now, how many of the lifeguards who are working this year live in the city of Albany, and how many of them live in the South End?
The question was, how many lifeguards live in the city of Albany? And the follow-up was, part B was, how many live in the South End? I believe we have one or two that actually live in the South End. And then I would say all but three are city of Albany residents. Actually, their family moved out of Albany, but they originally were city of Albany residents. But, we have one lifeguard from Niskayuna, one lifeguard from Voorheesville, two from Burn Knox, Westerlo. They lived in Albany. Their parents moved out, but they started working here, and their siblings worked here when they were older, when they were living in Albany. So that's one of the reasons why they keep coming back, is because they enjoy working for the city of Albany and working with the residents and the community members.
Well, that's better than I expected.
Yeah, and for our certification courses, it's for Albany residents. We focus on Albany residents. If anybody else even attempts, we say no. If they press us, we say, okay, $450. No, I'm kidding. We only do Albany residents.
So a lot of, there's still, this has been ongoing, there's still a lot of concern with the survey data itself. How are we gonna address some of that? In particular, the new question that was added, I wouldn't want to change the question because obviously that would then result in another change survey, but maybe we could add on to it, just clarifying, that we're not talking about leaving the pool exactly identical to the condition that it's in right now, but as in wanting an identical pool is meant as a replica pool, so that people do understand that. Also, how, what options are there to do a little bit better to explain some of the things like that some of those other options are still available with the pool if it's a replica, as opposed, like, how are we going to make sure that the community has full transparency and true understanding of the decisions that they're making?
So to repeat the question, can we slightly tweak and add on to be able to make it the question that was added on July 30th a little bit more clear for individuals taking the survey through the remainder of the open survey? I will say first thing tomorrow morning, that's what we're going to be asking the questions of how do we go about making clear, because that has been one of the prominent issues that has been brought up both online and here. So we'll start working on that immediately. We'll engage the PAC committee to be able to help us with how do we make that more clear? What can we do to make the survey still as valid as possible, but also more clear for the remaining respondents who want to be answering the survey or taking the survey. As far as there was kind of a part B to your.
Yeah, just basically how can we just try to clear up some of the issues that people have already stated, like, does having a replica pool mean you can't have any of the other stuff or something like that? Maybe not necessarily in the survey itself, because we don't want to overcomplicate the survey at this point, but just kind of making sure that there is a brief, clear comment on that, just that we get, maybe go out the news thingy for the rec department that says, hey,
Thank you for plugging in the news thingy. I appreciate that. The rec news feature on our website is something we're trying to promote more so people are well informed.
And
Um,
definitely like maybe,
yeah.
you know, have the mayor share just some main bullets to clarify some of the things that seem to be repetitively issues.
So what we'll do is, like I said, first thing tomorrow morning, we're going to start talking internally. We're going to bring the PAC committee. We're going to keep you guys in the loop so that way you guys can help shape how we possibly tweak it. And that way we can get a little bit more clarity on that question in particular. Does that answer? All right, thank you. I do believe, yes, you may.
He said something he had heard 10 years ago. Now, I know that you had said that there were some things that you had worked a lot to change. What does that data look like today? Is that still like daily rescues? Like, what is that?
Because, so the question is, what does the data look like today because of the changes that were implemented over the past few years?
I guess my bigger question is, was the pool or the practices? Like,
The pool, because we have not filled it to the normal level, is shallow. It's only about 5 feet deep. We do not have the daily rescues that we normally would if it were 8 feet deep. From when I worked here as a college student, from when I first came in, the overall general sense is there are daily rescues. Lauren here was a lifeguard, although at Monte Cristi for the most part. But daily rescues was a thing here at Lincoln that our guards had to be on watch for and that's part of the reason why a lot of the lifeguards have a strict focus on, you know, the rules and regulations of everything that goes on in the pool, is because there was daily rescues. The majority of them were from my understanding, distressed swimmers, which are not drowning victims, but individuals who are able to shout for help and they're like in distress and they believe that they're in danger. It's the ones that you can't hear about, the ones you can't see that are underwater, and those are the ones that are more serious. But at the same time, there was always daily distressed swimmers that needed to be rescued.
so can I have a follow-up on that?
Yeah.
If the pool was overall shallow, I don't think that's a word, but if it was all like, if filling it all the way to the edge only meant a 5 foot depth, would that be more danger or would that leave us about where we're at right now? I don't know if that's possible to answer, but.
We have at Monte Cristi and at Arbor Hill Community Center, those are 5 foot deep pools. There are still in-water rescues for distressed swimmers. Fewer drowning victims at the 5 foot level. I mean, that's why a lot of pools these days usually will terminate at 5 feet just because it is a safer configuration. If you want to be able to jump in, dive in, and have that deeper and do more programmatic aspects, you would want to have that 8 foot, 9 foot depth. In order to do lifeguard certification course, to make it a true lifeguard certification course, we would want to have 9, 10, 12 foot depth, kind of facility. That's one of the reasons why we have to do our certifications at the high school right now. Because if we do it anywhere else, we don't really, any other facility we have, we don't have the ability to do it. Or it wouldn't be a valid certification because they're not tested in the pool, which has the depth of the pool they'd be working in.
No, I'm sorry, I have one more follow-up on that. Are we planning to replace this pool with a pool that would meet those depths?
No, that's as long as
8, 10, 12 foot pool?
if this is 8 foot deep, whatever pool we have, if it's 8 foot deep and we do the course here, they can work at this pool. But if it's 5 foot deep, they can work at this pool, they can work at our pools. Yes, they can't go work at another pool that is 8 foot deep. They can't work at a deep end pool. That certification is limited based on the facility they take their certification course.
I understand that for the lifeguard themselves, but are we looking at making a deeper pool? Like, are we looking at?
That's up to everybody.
Or, offering the idea for diving, is that something that the city can consider?
I mean, for programmatic purposes, I would say I wouldn't want people taken off the table because it does open up for, again, lifeguard certification courses, as well as scuba diving courses, programmatic aspects such as water obstacle courses, dive teams, swim teams, which again could be something we've talked internally about having, a competitive club team at our, that are of Albany residents, here at Lincoln Park, over at Monte Cristi, over at Arbor Hill Community Center, to be able to, and possibly using Myers Middle School and the Albany High School to be able to have a summer swim club that they compete against the various different sites that, we operate during the summertime, to be able to have more aquatic programming available. So again, programmatically, it would benefit us. Any other questions? No? Did everybody get enough pizza? Did everybody get enough chicken wings, drinks, beverages? If everybody's okay, I'll conclude the meeting for the evening. I'm gonna grab a chicken wing myself. Oh, man. All right, that's okay. Any questions last online? All right, we'll move forward with concluding the meeting. I want to thank everybody for showing up. I want to thank everybody for participating. I want to thank the PAC committee for being able to, again, give us the refreshments and the food for this evening, as well as helping us through this process. Have everybody get home safe. We hope that everybody has a happy summer, and please stay tuned. Our website, albanyny.gov/recreation. Subscribe to our rec alerts, subscribe to our rec news. You'll be notified, and we'll keep you in the loop, and we'll continue to work through this process for the remainder of the summer and into the fall. And let's have a happy and wonderful rest of our summer, everybody.
Thank you.